Hello, and welcome to another episode of Highlights from the Hill, the original HCAM Ed series which brings you inside the Hopkinton Public School system. I'm your co-host, Jim Cousins, who along with our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Carol Cavanaugh, bring you the interesting people and the things that they do to make our school system the great place that it is. Hello, Carol. Welcome back.
Hi, Jim. Thank you. It's very nice to be back here. And speaking of interesting people, we have a new director of human resources in the Hopkinton Public Schools. And so, you know, we had a previous director who was here for 17 years, and so now we welcome Sheena Martin, who has signed on a couple months ago. How long have you been with us?
It's been about 2.5 months now, so.
Well, welcome, Sheena. Welcome to Hopkinton.
Thank you. I am happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself so people can know something about Sheena Martin in her personal life.
So I formerly worked for an educational collaborative as their payroll HR director. I have a degree in HR, and I'm actually a couple classes away from my MBA. I live in town, so I am a Hopkinton resident. I do have a child in the middle school, so when I saw this position open, it seemed very appealing for me. So.
Yeah, and you have landed here in a very busy time.
I was not expecting that. I thought I'd have a little more kind of not chance, but just walk in a little bit and kind of
Get acclimated.
Yeah.
But land, yeah.
I hit the ground running, so far I'm still swimming, so that's good. We are in negotiations with 4 different contracts with our custodians, cafeteria, teachers, and nurses, and we are also in the middle of a superintendent search.
Wow.
That'll keep you busy.
It
Yeah.
has, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think what is surprising, I don't think people at home maybe know how many meetings you attend to arrive at a successor contract with all of those bargaining units, you know. So a lot of meetings with the teachers, a lot of meetings with the custodians, a lot of meetings with the cafeteria workers, and we'll start up with the nurses soon. We haven't even dipped our big toes into the nurse negotiation water yet.
Right, right.
We're getting there.
I know. So, I mean, I assume that's not usual to have 4 unions at one time. Seems like a lot.
That is a lot, yes.
Yeah.
We used to be on a different cycle, and then during the pandemic, the teachers were pushed off a year. And so now, typically you write a contract for 3 years. So we have 4 bargaining units every 3 years. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, forgive me, Sheena, because when you talk about negotiations, right, and you negotiate a school contract, I can see a table where the superintendent is sitting across from, you know, the head of the teachers union and battling it out. What is your role in all of these contracts? What do you do?
So it's not just 3 people. How many are we?
Oh, there are close to 30 people.
Yeah, close to 30.
Wow.
So we actually all sit around in the middle school library, and we kind of separate. Everybody is separated, so union, non-union person, and ask questions, talk, and we're doing it in it's an IBB bargaining unit, so it's actually, I mean, you can.
Yeah, I think so. When we say IBB, it's interest-based bargaining. And
Okay.
so I think it's, you know, we really listen to each other's stories, and we try to find places where those stories intersect. So if you have an interest and I have an interest, and we kind of keep thinking about that, at some point we're like, yeah, that will work for both of us. And I mean, so far it's been wonderful. So yeah, that's kind of what it looks like there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long does that take? Everybody telling their stories and coming to
Oh, it takes a
understanding?
very, very long time.
Yeah.
We usually set up our sessions in, are they 3 or 4 hour periods, blocks of time?
So it's 4 to 7, and we meet at 3:30, but 4
Yeah.
to 7, so it's 3
Oh, okay.
hours.
Okay.
So it's about 3.5 hours
Yeah.
in terms of each one. One thing that Sheena has been very helpful with is we gather data. So we can look to see, you know, all kinds of things. We look at, you know, how much money people make. We look at how many days out people are for things like maternity or bereavement. Like we just gather data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it helps with the storying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything has to be fact-based. You can't just say something without any evidence, so that's.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Are you the fact checker?
we're all the fact checkers, but there's a lot of different things that I kind of house, so
Yeah.
I'm the one who will bring it up.
Okay. Okay.
She'll end up being responsible for that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Now, I'm sure. I mean, my expectation. I've seen movies before. I would assume the unions show up with like things that they would like to get and accomplish and have as tools in their job. Do you guys show up with like things that, hey, we don't do this now, but we'd like to be able to do this
We
or
do.
something like that?
Yeah. It's kind of a give and take. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it's very respectful. We understand why people in the association would want what they want, and I think they understand why we would want what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, that's sort of where those things will intersect. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah.
I know, because everyone I've ever talked to is all about, it's all about the student experience in the room as they go through the school system,
Yeah.
and allowing them to become, the grown-up that they're, the best grown-up that they can be.
Yes, and I like that you say that, because I think one thing that Hopkinton's very good at is sort of not creating that stereotype. Like, we really let kids explore what they want to explore and kind of create that pathway for themselves.
Right.
That it's always in our district improvement plan.
Yeah.
Because the pathway should be dictated by the kid.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is so clear. And you know what, quite honestly, we talk about how great Hopkinton is, the school system. I really think that is a core fundamental to why. Like, the vision of what we're doing is very clear.
Yeah.
Now, Sheena, I wanted to ask you, so you're working in the school system now. Was your prior job, I know it was like teaching, it was like learning focused, but was it a school district or something different?
It's not a school district, so it's a collaborative, and your member districts and other districts in the area will send you their kids so that we can educate them.
Okay.
The idea is that it costs a district more money sometimes for a particular child when we can do it. We could, I no longer work there, we could do it more economically. So,
Yeah.
and have the resources, so.
I see. Okay. How many school districts roughly did your team pull from?
So there were 12 member districts, so that's the people who are sitting around the table, kind of like, instead of school committee members, it's superintendents.
Okay.
So we answer to the superintendents who are member districts, but we did have other sending districts who were not members, so they would still send us their students.
I see. Is your environment here very similar to what you're doing before? Or is it very different?
It's actually very similar. There are a lot of similarities, and there are differences, but it's very similar.
Okay.
And we're in that process right now of, we didn't mention this before, but we have a system called Munis. It's what we use for payroll, but it also tracks a whole lot of other data. And I mean, you work in the district, so you know that sometimes we would take our time off and we would put it on a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. And our technology director is not a fan of all that paper use as well.
Yes.
So we are trying to eliminate the paper and get everything automated now. So it's interesting that we're probably year 2 of that process, and Sheena has landed here for that as well.
I
So,
see. Had you any experience with Munis before, or is that new?
Not with Munis itself. We did use Tyler for accounting software, but we were with another system. Everything was automated though, so I'm very,
Yeah.
and when I took it over, I actually helped that process, because it was Excel spreadsheets, pen and paper, and there was a lot of paper, and I'm like, oh, let's not do this. So
Yeah.
we moved over to the electronic.
I see.
yes. So
Is-
that was one of the perks, really, is
Yeah.
someone who had already gone through this process once. I'm like, try it again, see how
Right,
it goes.
right. As a quick aside, is the school system joining Munis and getting comfortable on Munis at the same time the town is, or was the town already on Munis?
We were all on Munis, but I think we use it differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're looking to use it more. I mean, its capacities are greater than what we're currently accessing. So,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, if we've got it, we should use it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of paperless myself. I think It's great. Not only do you not have paper, but you have records and you can track it over years and see trends and stuff like that. You're a big numbers person. I'm sure that's like a good thing.
Oh, yes, I'm very excited for this. And I know that Mrs. Rothermick, who's been on the show before, who is our Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, this has been kind of her vision for a very long time. And, you know, it's slow going. And I think it has to be slow going because everyone in the district has some connection to Munis. So I remember she and I went to the integrated pre-K a few years ago and we said, you're a small little institution within this much bigger institution. Maybe you could try it first. So we're going to have you all submit your timesheets electronically. We're going to see how that goes. And they were like, okay. But, you know, we ironed out some wrinkles and it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, you can help us know where we are now. You know better than I do. I mean, you're in that process all the time. Are we all electronic timesheets now?
No.
No. How
Almost.
close? Yeah,
We are
yeah.
very close to that. There's still one group that's not, but I think that we're going to be moving them over shortly. So it's
We'll just bring it up in contract negotiations. So I want to ask, you had said that you had been at this previous job, and now you're here, and they're very similar, right? And you're the HR director. What led you to want to take this type of career?
I think I kind of just fell into it. When I started, I was 19. I wasn't really sure what direction I wanted my life to go into, and my executive director at the time was he was pushing me to grow, and it just seemed like a natural step. I like to see HR as a way to help people too, and I build relationships and different things like that. So it kind of seemed naturally I went into that direction.
That's very interesting. And like, how is it different from your last job to now? Because right now you only have one school district.
Well, my last job was smaller, so
Okay.
because we were a collaborative, we did have schools in different locations and within schools, but we were 210 employees.
Okay.
So I moved into a district where there's almost 700 employees, and now I have a team where I used to actually do more of the legwork on the back end. Now I have a team who I work with as well. So
Yeah,
I see.
you do have a nice administrative assistant. You oversee payroll, so there are benefits fall under the HR director as well. So you have a nice staff.
I do have a nice staff. They are a great team.
Yeah. But they have plenty of work because we have plenty of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm curious, in addition to the work that's going on, right? Payroll is work that's going on, and then contract negotiations is work that's going on. In your role as a director, how do you work collaboratively with other administrators, and do you do any type of like vision casting for like what you would like to see happen in the district, or what you might like to see happen, you know, with your job and the people that work for you?
I do work with other administrators. I think right now, because I've only been in the role for 2.5 months, I'm taking a step back and I'm learning.
Yeah.
I need to learn the processes because there are differences too. It's not exactly the same that I used to do, and the school has different protocols and things. So right now, I'm kind of taking a step back, learning, working, and I think then we go from there. When I'm more comfortable and I see where changes for the better could be made, when that time comes, we'll address it. So right now I'm in a learning kind of mode right now.
2.5 months is understandable, right? Especially with all the stuff that's happening. Definitely.
And we do a lot of meetings. You know, we have central office meeting, we have admin council, and so, you know, you're integral in all of those meetings as well. Yeah. And now she's put in the role of finding a successor when I leave the superintendency. And I think at the start, that felt like we were just moving along, but now it's really heating up because things are going to happen in the next couple of months.
Right, right. What do you do in that role as part of the search thing?
So I was working as the liaison, and so there was a lot of coordinating. Tonight we have a meeting at the high school. Thursday there's going to be another meeting where we're looking. Tonight is a training, and then Thursday we'll be looking at the candidates and making decisions on who to interview. Then the following week we will start the interview process and hopefully have a good candidate by April 15th is our goal.
Right. So tonight, when you're looking at candidates, is it still confidential at this stage?
This is still, well, this meeting is not, we will not be looking at candidates in this meeting. It's just a training, so there's no decisions. What's going to happen is we will be told how to see the candidates, and then on Thursday, this is a very confidential part of it, is when everybody will be discussing the candidates and choosing who they want to interview.
I see.
And that does have to remain confidential. We actually have our screening committee take an oath, so that's, and it's important that it's confidential because you don't want to ruin these candidates' professional career if somebody knows that they are looking elsewhere.
Right.
It could be detrimental to them.
That's understandable. And you know what? I mean, I don't know. But I would assume a lot of people apply because Hopkinton is like the Starship Enterprise. You know what I mean? It's like the best. So I would assume that a lot of people would be interested. It's going to be a big job.
Oh, I mean, it is a gold standard school district. It really is. And not to take this too far out of the way, but I had taken my dad to a doctor's appointment, and the doctor said, "Oh, you're the superintendent in Hopkinton? My children went there. I could have sent them to this private school or that private school," and then explained to me his child's trajectory, and he said, "I'm telling you all of that because I'm sure you hear some grumpy people, but I'm a happy customer." That's lovely to hear.
Yeah, that is great. And
nice.
I mean, there have to be so many happy customers. It's such a great place.
Yeah.
I'm a happy customer.
There you go.
My son started 6th grade. He is in the middle school, and it's been a really good experience for him.
Yeah.
We moved here when he was in the 3rd grade, so he was at Elmwood. And it's a positive experience, and there's so much to offer, like ski club and nature's classroom and different things that he gets to experience that in other school districts you might not be able to.
Right. In your day-to-day work, could you tell us a little bit about like some of the things that you enjoy most, some of the things that you really like doing?
I like my interactions with people the most. When I'm working one-on-one with people or brainstorming about different things, I think that's what I enjoy. I enjoy finding solutions to problems. There are some mundane things like answering emails and different things like that, but I enjoy the brainstorming element of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think the question for you is like, how do we get to yes, right? Sometimes an employee says, I have this need, and there may be obstacles to getting to the end, but like that's your job, is to get them there.
And
really nice.
Sometimes you do have to say no. I mean, there are constraints around everything, but my kind of goal in my role is to actually build a trusting relationship and to let people know that they can come to me, that I am there. I do have an open door policy, and we will try to figure it out. And again, sometimes the answer might be no, but we will see what we can do. So.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, that notion of your doors open, there has to be trust, because when people need HR, it's typically when something isn't like perfect in their lives, right? And they need some kind of, I need to be out of work for this amount of time. Or maybe it's when something is super perfect and like you're bringing a child into the world, but you want to make sure that logistically on the work side, everything is okay before you leave your position, and then you'll be coming back to it at some point. Or sometimes people say they're retiring, and like you guide them through that process as well. And all of those things can come, I think, for people with some trepidation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, there's about 700 people, you said, that work here. Now, as a teacher, if I had an issue, right, I'd probably talk to my department head, and then I could talk to the principal, and then I can get to the superintendent, right? Are there layers to HR too, or do all the people in this environment access you for whatever reason that's going on?
There are layers, but everybody does have the access to me. So if something's wrong, they'll likely go to their principal first. But there's never anything that says that you can't go see HR. There's nothing that says that you can't send me an email. Like everybody has the same access to me. So.
And when people are onboarding, they'll pretty much see all of your people. You know, they'll first visit with Emily because and then they go to benefits and they'll go to payroll. So, you know, they get to meet everyone in your department when people are coming into the district as new employees.
Okay. I'm curious in your role, right? What type of training and knowledge gathering and like the rules change and how do you keep on top of things?
The rules do change. So I initially got my degree, my undergraduate degree in HR, and I think that continuous learning is very, very important. So I was part of different organizations that will provide trainings and conferences and different things like that. I'm part of, is a job alike for HR directors for other school districts in Massachusetts. And we will throw questions out and we'll talk about things and people will give their opinions. And then there's also trainings like once a month for that. So it will keep you up to date on different things. The one that's coming this Friday is actually a training on negotiation. So I'm like, well, this is good because I am in the middle of it. So it's just keeping webinars, different things like that, just trying to keep up to date, and continuous learning is a vital piece of it.
Yeah. And you even control, I think, a lot of things that happen locally. So like employee handbooks have to be updated. We're constantly looking at policy. So that will keep you busy as well.
And sometimes something is written and then you find out that it wasn't really understood in the way that it was meant. So you always have to kind of revamp and simplify and help people understand different things.
Right. On these monthly training things that you had mentioned, is there like a professional organization or are you guys like a club of HR directors?
So it is an organization. It's actually called MASPA. So it's, and you are part of it, and they'll provide different trainings, and you get PDPs from it and different professional development things from it too. So,
just so a PDP is
a professional development point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so everybody has to recertify.
Yep.
And so you have to have X number of PDPs in things like content and things like pedagogy, and in your case something different, but when you go to DESE and recertify, everybody needs PDPs.
Right.
And sometimes you'll get audited, so you do have to make sure that you have all those PDPs in a row. So that's important.
And I think that's a Munis thing for us, right? Because technically, the onus is on the educator to keep track of all of those professional development points as they're going along. But it would be super helpful to them once we get Munis up and running so that Jim Cousins knows exactly how many PDPs he has in content and pedagogy, all of that, and it's one-stop shopping. So we can know on the district side, and you can know on your side, and DESE can know on their side.
Yeah.
So it would be lovely to have that, which is, I think, when we say those capability pieces, like it would, if it's doing that, it would be wonderful for us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always growing, always thinking.
That's right. Never ends. I know. Our time is starting to grow short. So the last thing I wanted to ask about, and then anything you want to ask about, Carol, is when you look at the landscape, when you look at the future, I mean, the HR world of today is not the HR world from 30 years ago. It's a very different world, and it's very different people, and it's very different ways of interacting with organizations, right? So whether from like a post-COVID world where there's like, a lot of things happen there and companies are changing things and people want changing things, or if just like as you see trends and things happening, I'm just curious what your perspective is on like what the future may hold, or like kind of which direction that's going in.
Well, I think that the future for HR, you're always going to need HR. It's just still about continuous growth, not staying stagnant. So just looking forward in the future, using tools that are available to you to help you perform your job better. I mean, even we talk about AI a lot, but it actually is a very interesting resource that can help HR grow and facilitate different things. So for me, it's always about continuous growth. Can't be afraid of change. I know change is hard, and sometimes I even resist it myself, but I think it's very important to look at your processes and say, can I do this better? Is there a better way? And just always having that mentality, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah. I think about like the AI evolution. I think that there have been, maybe some like SEL and mental health things that we've had to kind of grow with in the last decade. I think when we take a look at not just our kids, but our adults and electronics, those are some of the places where I think we've also had to change what we're doing. So yeah, it's a big job. It is a huge job right now. The amount of hours that you have invested into all of these processes it's big. So we're happy you're here. Thank you.
All right, that's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for being a part of the HPS system.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Cal, it's great to see you again.
Yep, you too, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on this episode, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Highlights from the Hill. Take care.